Okay, let's get in. I should read it. I should read it and say okay. So I guess you went through all the.
Yeah, they were edited.
They were okay.
They were edited.
Okay, great. Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure that it's not.
Read the questions for the recording's sake, so people listen.
Okay, yeah. So some people put in questions. I'm assuming that these are questions that could benefit others, because it's very specific and this is a very difficult. I think this design is very custom designed. It's not like the same trainer doing with every person this muscle. You know, one piece need to do that. So Hashem is very, very specific. Some of us have more than one kid like this. Some of us have all of our kids.
We discovered muscles we didn't know we had.
We didn't know we had at all, exactly. And when we're done with the muscle and it's built, there's no greater pleasure. No greater pleasure. There's a lot of pleasure in this journey. I'm telling you, why can't we live with both? It's a very painful journey and an exciting journey. Some people told me that if they themselves figured out that they also like to go to the gun range, the range, whatever it's called. Okay, do that. My son told me a thing or two. It's exciting. Okay, we have a large family. Chazda Hashem, whoever it is. Blessed are you. Of mainly boys. Ouch. Okay, yeah. The fourth boy is a 16-year-old, run-of-the-mill cookie cutter, yeshiva bacher who is sandwiched in a whole family of KiPs. KiPs meaning kids in pain, meaning the children that we're talking about, and ADHDers. How do we prevent him feeling pressure that he is our nachas and depend on him to compensate for the other kids? Or possibly the opposite, how to stop him feeling gava, etc., etc. Now I have to go from bottom up, because if we are up to a place that we are in 2025 worried that one of our kids are going to have such a good self-esteem that they're going to have gava, you're the luckiest person in the world. There's the bucket of self-esteem is a bottomless pit to most of us. So if you have someone that's not a bottomless pit, you just give them a little bit and they really feel like that's don't worry about gava now. If our child is going to get too much self-esteem, if our biggest issue is that our healthy child is going to have too much gava, we'll deal with it. And life will teach him a thing or two very quickly. But so rather be worried he will have too little. So that's that. But you know what? The word nachas has to be brought back to the original source. Vus meint nachas? What?
From Karbanis.
Okay, nachas ruach. What does nachas ruach mean? Hashem is nachas. Feels good. Hashem walks around like that. When we do a mitzvah, right? Chaz v'shalom. Nachas means putting down something. You don't need to carry. We carry our kids, a regular healthy kid. You put them through chayda, the years of chinuch. And then the child is off on their own. They're 13, 14, 15. They're making healthy, smart choices. You're able to be nachasdik, to be calm, and to put down your burden because they're finally doing the right thing. Nothing to do with my pride. Hashem Yirachim, what happened to us? All of us are guilty of that a little bit. Some more, some less. A child has to give me if that child is not an ADHD, and that child is growing up with a house of KiPs, all you need to do is have a lot of conversations with that kid and explain to him, this sibling and that sibling is this part of the piece of the Pri Yehuda. It's a Pasha Shoiftim where he says that Hashem gave you the koiches to be easy, but this is your avodas Hashem, and their avodas Hashem is to, I don't know, to make a Kiddush Hashem 7-11. I don't know. That's his avodah. You be you, they should be them. Create a space with your child and say, you could always come talk to me when something bothers you, if you don't understand why we're doing this with your siblings. But I don't think you should be scared of nachas, of gava, or anything like that. And it's his journey. Hashem chose everybody who to be in which family. And if a child was put into a family where he has a few siblings that are struggling, that's the best thing for this child ever. You know how I know? Because the Almighty, knowing of all knowings, decided to put him into that family. Must be that this kid, the best thing in the world ever could have happened to this kid, that this child, Zerach Melech. Right? Okay, number 2, our 4th grade son, ADHD. I think, okay, good. I was going to say something about ADHD, but not now. Our 4th grade son, ADHD and medicated, with no learning disabilities, has been sent home from his resource room, Chayda 10 times since Elul, always for the same behavior. The record was 3 times in a week for 2 days each. There are only 6 days in a week. Go figure. Okay, whoever wrote this is at least seeing some light, putting some humor in there. Generally, we do see these behaviors at home, and we work well with the school, but on this point, we try to explain to them that supporting him is not working. Suspending him is not working. And making things worse, to be, I guess, regularly rejected him and forcing him spiral into a vicious cycle at such a young age. There are no real alternative school options for him. How and what can we do to help him survive the system? Very long question, very deep thing, but I think that I'll answer it partially, and that's something that could be helpful for many other parents here. I think that our school systems were designed by accountants, very organized, I'll share it with you. I once took a course many years ago with Dr. Brown, I forgot his first name, and he claimed there's no such thing as ADHD, just for explaining things purpose, not that he doesn't really believe in that. So he said, in the olden days, there were 2 types of people going out to make parnasa. So there was the hunter and the farmer. The hunter had to go out, and the wife said, there's no food, we need to. Oh, sure, no problem. He puts on his bow and arrow, and he goes into the forest, and he looks around, and he sees every tiny thing, and he sees a deer, catches it, comes home, throws the big, deer on the table. Hey, you have food for a few days. The farmer is the one that has a beautiful land and had kept a whole log of everything that he did. Today he's doing sowing and plowing, and on Tuesday it rained a half inch, and he's putting in the seeds, and then it started growing, put a wood and tied it into a whole year of cheshbonos, and finally he was there to reap the stuff and then put it into bags and sell it to stores. At the end of the day, though, the money came in, a certain amount was put away for every single month, and the rest of the money was put away to buy more seeds for next year, for the next year. So the whole year, everything was organized. He knew exactly what he was going to do. So these are the farmers. And then he had the hunters, 2 very different people. And he said, all of us are einiglich from either one of them. So the ADHDers are einiglich from the hunters. They're the ones that are, they see a fly running around in the class, the teacher's in the middle of talking, they see the fly. And another kid made a noise, and they got distracted. They were the hunters. And these are usually the ones that know how to open businesses. They're the ones that are able to jump in and create things. They're the creators. They're the presidents of the United States. Yeah. No, seriously, it's very funny, but they say I think like 33 out of all the presidents were ADHDs. Very big tzaddikim were. Meinrich Biderman once said that if there would be medication for ADHD 50 years ago, there would never be a lot of it ever. If he said it, I wouldn't say it on my own. So the point is, our systems, our school systems were not created by hunters, they were created by farmers. And then you have hunters in there, it's like Gehenna. I know because I'm one of them. I'm ADHD. So it was very difficult for me. I remember this, it took ages for the clock to go from 11:15 to 11 o'clock. And then it's recess, and half a second later, 20 minutes passed, we have to be back in school. I lived it. Very difficult. So what do? Until one of us are going to own up and open up yeshivas and schools, hundreds of thousands of them, for the hunters, for the ADHDers, for the creative people in the world, we're going to suffer. So try to work along with them, try to work with the teacher, the chai didn't try to explain. I remember one of my kids is my genes and couldn't sit in class too much. And I got my child as a little pillow made out of gel inside, and it's silicone and gel. It's like, so you sit on it and you're able to swirl like that. So we told the other kids in the class that it's good for his back that he's moving, but really his brain was doing something. He was able to concentrate amazingly. So whatever, you try to work with it and tell your Rebbe that he could walk around, at least in these daladamas, shouldn't disturb other kids. Once a week, make sure to call into Chayda and say that the child is not feeling well, he's going to come a few hours late. Do that. Do that. You're not enabling, you're not doing anything. If you're going to give your child, you know what? We need to work with them because it's not their fault, and tell them, you know what? If it was very difficult for me also, or for so many people. It's not anymore like 2% of it's I don't know. Klal Yisrael is probably 50. I don't know numbers. I really don't know. I can't say, but I think it's a huge chunk of all kinds of stages. You know what ADHD stands for, right? Attention deficit. Hey, donuts. Okay, next question. I live in Kiryat Sefer. Wow. I need dar elu b'mukom Torah. A very insular and shamor neighborhood with a teenage daughter who wants to dress in revealing t-shirts and shorts in the summer. I honestly truly care about the avreichim and people living around me. But it's not you, it's your child. Okay. But on the other hand, my true priority is that I don't want to damage the relationship with my child. In bold letters. What can I say to get my daughter to understand that there should be some respect for the place we are living in? You're a pro. First of all, I understand you. Whoever asked the question. We all have in different forms, each one of us. This is a very painful question. I know it. It is. This is a very valid question. First of all, it's your child, and then you really feel bad for your neighborhood. There's avreichim walking around. It's very, very sad. But what could you do? Have rachmanas on your child before you have rachmanas on someone else. And I'm going to say something. Tznius is not 100% on the girl. I heard this from a big writer. It's 50% on the girl and 50% on the guy not to look. I grew up in a Chassidish yeshiva, and I was taught when you walk in the street to take off your glasses. And when I was 13, 14, 15, I lived in Borough Park, and I always took off my glasses. There was a time when I wore lenses and I switched back the glass, I should be able to take it off. I was an innocent young book, and I was doing whatever was the right thing. And you know what? And if your daughter was chosen by Hashem to struggle with tznius, Hashem also chose who should live next door, and that guy should have this is his avodas Hashem. This is his gym. This is his. He needs to go to his mentor and help him work on his. Well, how can we walk around feeling guilty? Not only Hashem gave us a child that we need to do all these avodah, attachment work, and no. Of course, when your child is already in a better place, and your relationship is very, very deep and very real, and you have a little bit of extra chips, you have a little bit of extra credit with the kid, and they're in a place and a moment where they're able to listen to you and say, I have no issue you work like this. I love you the way you are. I'm not Hashem's policeman, that's not me. But these people living here, to them it means something. Can you? Of course. But this is very rare when you get to that place. Because usually when you're in that place, they know ready to go back to Nizdik. So I know, I don't want to say a mic, but I know very up close that's the case. When they get to a certain place, they stop. How can we help a younger bucher whose older brother is now doing what he wants, Yiddishkeit and behavior-wise, coming home in the middle of the night, smoking, etc.? What is that, etc.? Okay, I think we all know. A younger brother is a good boy, but not hot in his Torah learning, so therefore relatively at risk. And very astute. I don't know what that means. That's an English word that I know what it means. What does astute mean?
Good, sharp.
Sharp, okay. We have good communication with him. We try to make Yiddishkeit exciting and fun. But Lamasa, on a day-to-day basis, what can one do to make things easier and help him understand what he's gaining by being such a good boy? Also, a very, very good question. All good questions. Meaning, this is a good question that many people could benefit from. We could associate it. We could understand it. It is something. I think there's no greater pleasure than doing something that's right for a healthy person. And if this child does not have the same trauma like the older brother and didn't go through difficulties, then there's nothing to worry about. A healthy child is going to remain a healthy child, Be'ez Hashem. Just being exposed to a brother or sister doing certain things, I'm not talking being exposed to a very big schmutz suddenly, but okay, that's my brother and that's me. I think most of Klal Yisrael was like that, all the Doiris. It was never meant to be everybody to be the same. And one of the good people in the world, the B'nai Torah, are the ones that have to humble themselves and really understand that everything that they gained in their avodas Hashem is because Hashem gave them a neshama and a brain and a heart to be able to do it, and a body. And the other one that doesn't, that's their avodas Hashem. What do we know? So I think that again, like before, just create space and talk to this boy and tell him that he's able to talk to you whenever something bothers him or whatever. But you know what? If he's meant to grow and if he's going to do choices, smart choices, the choices will happen. Okay, let's move on. The fathers often find it harder to come to terms with the original shame of having a child struggling in a public arena. That's an assumption that one woman made. But I side with her. It's true. Probably because, it is true, because, men and women equally have ego. Women have no less ego than men. It's just in very different places. Women have a big ego, and men have a big ego. And it's just in very, very different places. A woman would never talk to someone else about money. She would never ask someone, oh, you owe me money or not. She'll always say, that's the way their ego. There's many places. We're equally need avoid in different places. But there are, in this way, men, because the image of the house is a little bit more. Probably because they play a more significant role in the collectivities given over here, such as daily minyan, Shabbos. Oh, she's even being down like her husband. It's amazing. And Yom Tov, Shul, and Simchas. How can we, as mothers, strengthen our children that their fathers are so ashamed of? Wow. No, it's a good question. I think that in a one-on-one relationship with your child, with your son, with your bucher, and telling them how proud you are of them and everything, if your husband is not doing his part, you do your part. There are a lot of single mothers out there, single fathers out there, that have struggling teens, or they have regular families, but we're going to talk about struggling teens, and they're very able and capable of helping creating a very healthy attachment with the child, and the child, Be'ez Hashem, is able to grow and Siyata Shmai come to a good place. It's much healthier than being with parents that are fighting all day, right? So it's not always the idea. So if you're living with someone and your spouse is not at the same level that you are when it comes to this avoid, that doesn't mean you do your job. You create your attachment with the child, put into the child as much as you can. You don't need to. And if your child is being ashamed, you try to explain that, you know what, this is Tati's struggle, and it makes sense. It's not going to degrade them. It's not going to make them. I'm just going to drop quicker. The shitta of indulging in the OCD child with every gashmis, with when they want, I guess, to keep them home. Does it really create true connection between the parents and their child, or is it a simple compensation for true love and attention, which is our busy and hectic lives often gets neglected? I don't know, this again, someone made an assumption that creating attachment with the OTD child is giving them with gashmis all they want. I didn't ever preach that. I don't think anybody that's associated with our chevra ever preached that. That's not true. The opposite. We preach what you said at the end over here. It's simple compensation for true love and attention. We are talking about true love and attention. But what I did mention before, if you're able to, and you could go with your child where they want to go, just to create more attention, yeah, do that. But I didn't say you should give up your whole life and give up. It's not that's not the case. My Litvish daughter married her Taimani boyfriend after 4 years. Okay, Mazel Tov, Hashem, it's a good thing. They're both growing, each slowly and steady in Rachnis, but at their individual paces. My grandson is bar mitzvah and applying for Yeshiva Ketana. He wants Bagriot I don't know what Bagriyot means.
Secular.
Like region.
Oh, the region. So yeah, okay, I guess it's a Vrit word. My son-in-law is debating, and my daughter, who is very strong today, wants a regular yeshiva. What is my role as a safta? Should I encourage her to go alone with her son and husband? You know my answer, but I'm going to give you something before that answer. There is a mitzvah in the Torah that you have to be mechanech your children and your grandchildren, but only if your children are not doing it. So it's not to make fun of this question, but if you feel that, if let's say your children don't have money to pay for your grandchildren's tuition, you have a chiyuv to pay. Not great-grandchildren, grandchildren, yeah. But this is a very different story. In this way, you should just be a safta that is just enjoying and enjoy the nachas that you have, enjoy the world that you have, enjoy everything else. But really, it's not up to you. I don't think you should get involved whatsoever. If they come to you for advice, you can always give advice. But I think your role should be creating a healthy attachment. I had with some of my grandparents, a very healthy attachment with them. I'm telling you, it really helped me grow. And when I went through hardships as teenagers, I never went through that kind of struggle, but whatever, regular teenage stuff, a lot of times I spoke to my Babi and my Zaidi, and they were awesome. You have a good aunt or uncle, could also create good attachment. And just be the Babi that believes in every einikel. Every einikel, every grandchild should know that you'll just be the lover, just be the most. You come to the house and just compliment your einikel. When they walk to the house, don't tell them your pace is not made, and don't tell them your couple of schmutzik. Don't say anything of that. Just tell them how amazing they are, and remember things they told you. And if they tell you that 2 weeks from now they're going to have a siddur play, write in your calendar and call up your child. Tomorrow's your siddur day. I'm so excited. Doesn't take much. That's what we should do as saftas. And yeah.
Question before.
Yeah.
A lot of times, because everybody says you have to give love, there's a matter that you mavater everything. The kid sees his father doesn't have a gav, doesn't have a
spine.
Where's the?
Great. It's a great question. Great question. I think you came a drop late.
Love and to have structure and be. You could say no, and you can still love him, and you can still give him.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's a very good question. Am I right that you were not here in the first half?
Right.
Okay. So I'm going to repeat quickly. A healthy child that more or less healthy, growing up in a more or less healthy family, we're not talking about those kids. Those kids need discipline, love, attachment, everything. We are talking about kids that are already hurt.
Even these kids, sometimes they result. If you just say yes and everything, they yes you, they result on you. They want to see something. You have otzma. You have some.
Yeah.
Now, still you have to know where.
I know where you're coming from. It makes a lot of sense what you're saying, but I need to explain to you something, and I'm taking the time all over this because I do think people are going to have this question on the camera also. So let's understand something. First of all, we said before very clearly, it's not about giving it to your child and everything like you have no atzma. You're like the opposite. I am the most powerful person in this house. I'm the father here. I'm the most powerful person in the house. I'm the mother, and I decided that just because you're going through a lot of pain and you need my love, I am giving you more than I would give to other kids because you need something that makes you feel good, because I want to help you heal and create an attachment. If it's coming from a weak point, you're right. It's not supposed to come from a weak point. So it's supposed to come from a very...
You're supposed to say no and you say yes.
I could say no. So when a child asks you, I want to go to Florida with my friends tomorrow. Okay, we're here now. I don't know, tell you a lot. So, right? And you say, I will discuss it with Tati. I will discuss it with Mommy. Well, let you know tomorrow. And even if you decide that to this kid you want to do more to create attachment, you don't have to give in that moment. It's not about giving in that moment. You still have the opposite. You're a parent that gives everything for the child. Not you're under the rug and you give it to it. No, of course. We're not preaching your children should own you. Chaz v'shal. Chaz v'shal. Okay, so I would like to know what are the red flags in a younger teen to catch him before he goes off. How can I distinguish between true red lights and possibly paranoia or unfound fears? You mean of the parent, I guess. Okay.
Staying up all night?
I'm a dating coach in second time around marriage. That's one of my things. Me and my wife both do that. And we talk about red flags and we talk about question marks. So when you date someone and you're not sure something comes up, you don't say it's a red flag, say it's a question mark. Question mark means something that I'm able. Red flag, he took out his phone in the middle of a date, so some girls will talk to someone and they'll read off the shidduch right away. It's a question mark, a wonder. A red flag means there's something there, and now you need to decide, do I want to live with that something or not? It's a definite. This person has this and this issue, I've seen it, but I do my checks and balances and I decide, do I want to decide to continue living with this person? We don't need to go to red flags when it comes to this, even if we have question marks, meaning that they're doing certain behavior that you tried so many times, you did bribing, you asked them, you went into again and again, and they still fall back. They don't go to school, they don't show up, they start doing risky behavior. They start doing things that are not acceptable again and again. You know you're in the crisis chinuch mode. It's hard to switch. I know that's one of the hardest things that I had to go through. Believing and accepting that, no, my child is not in the regular chinuch, that we need to still try to bribe them. They should go to yeshiva and put on tefillin. We realize when we're there, when they start going through and they have too much question marks, you don't need for red flags, you right away go into crisis chinuch. Because if you go in too late, you have much more at risk. Crisis chinuch is not going to ruin them. Crisis chinuch means you'll build extra attachment. You're not going to force them to go to school. You're not going to force them to put on film, but you're going to force yourself and everybody. You're going to create yourself in a place that you should be able to have the most greatest connection and attachment to them. What's the risk? It's a much bigger risk if you try to implement rules and to negotiate with kids and to bribe and try to do all kinds. You're much more risking there if it comes from. So if you have question marks, you're ready going. You don't need for red flags. Red flags are open. Red flag is the smoking weed, or doing something Chal Shabbos, anything like that. You don't need red flags. Okay. How do parents, siblings, and struggling teen deal with inappropriate remarks? Looks, threatening. Looks, threatening letters, and words from neighbors.
What's the question?
I don't understand this word. Look, L-O-O-K-S-N. It's probably a typo. How do parents, siblings, siblings, and struggling teen deal with inappropriate remarks?
I think it says looks.
Oh, looks. You mean looks and okay, and threatening letters and words from neighbors. The first thing you do if you're in Meichen de Katnis, like if you're in regular human state of mind, you're not Meichen de Gadlis, you're not a Malach. Sometimes we're Malach and we like amazing to give in and do things, but when you're a regular person, you get angry, you get hurt, and you say, how dare our neighbor judge us? And again, but you know what, that's their journey, if they should judge, if they should send letters, and if they should do whatever they have to. But Lamas, for us, it's very, very painful. All I could do is validate you and tell you you're not alone, because this happened all over the globe. Baruch Hashem, there's always these big tzaddikim that really, really mean good. And they're just not too smart, and they're missing information. And they think by sending you letters and telling you need to move out of the neighborhood because your daughter is ruining the whole neighborhood. And I have never met the perfect neighborhood. Never. I had a story in Muncie. On the block where we live, it's all yeshivish people and chassidish people. But B'nai Torah, beautiful chassidish block, heimish block, litvish block, a few minyanim, beautiful. So there's a whole meeting one day. It was in my house. They've called it to my house. A meeting that one of the neighbors has an elderly person, and has a guy that has a smartphone, and he was watching, I don't know what, some games and inappropriate things, and the kids were standing around from the block and they were seeing it, and the whole meeting was, how can we get this neighbor to move away? Or because they spoke to him already 10 times, because this guy is exposing the kids, and we need to do something, and the comments that came in, that person wasn't there. It was mamish painful for me to see how ignorant people could be. They're good, they just don't know. Within 2 weeks later, it was the funniest thing. 2 blocks down, in another beautiful neighborhood, someone that knows me, they used to daven in my shul, and said, we have a problem in the neighborhood. There's someone has 2 kids that are off, and they're smoking weed all day, and all the kids in the block again. And so they called me to that meeting, and I was like laughing. I said, do you think that we could create a neighborhood where nobody's never ever going to be, you want to do like the horses that walk around? Have you ever seen the horse that have like this?
Blinders.
Yeah, the blinders. Or you want to look like you go dressed like the left tuhoid, like this, and go. What are you going to do? Sooner or later, hello? Yiddishkeit is much stronger than this. But never, these people think that your child is the problem. It's not your child, it could be their child. This neighborhood needed to have X amount of kids walking around with the car on Shabbos with a big noise in the truck. I don't know that far, but whatever they're doing.
He says, Sharm says, we have to be lamed v'nisayin. You have to learn to be
Lamed v'nisayin, exactly, but it's easy to say, hard to do. So, the only thing you should do what the Heilige Vedit Shuruv did, and you should daven for them that they should have seichel, and they should do tshuva, and that's it. But continue doing what you're doing. Continue doing your holy work of being makar of your kids, and I feel for you. We do. We all feel for you. We all understand that this is what's happening in the neighborhoods. I find myself many times stuck between my husband and my KiPs. He's upset about things to do or don't do. Prime example, getting up Shabbos morning, he wants to eat and they are still sleeping. But he wants his whole family at the Shabbos Seder. It happens often, and I know where to put myself or how to handle the conflict in these situations. Please advise. I want to tell you something. I think we leave you. What time we need to go, Hashi? We still have time? 15 minutes. Okay. One of the common issues in Shalom Bayis is that one of us got educated in a new thing. You went to a course, there was this new, you looked in the Ami magazine or in the Bina magazine, and you saw this lady, this Rebbitzin from Yehopitzville came, and she's going to give an 8 weeks course on how to communicate effectively. Or how to Ruach Chaim, I don't know, all these beautiful names, which they're good, I'm not making fun of it, I'm just saying it, just to put it down nice. And you got educated. Your husband is not on that same page. He did not go to that class. And then, how dare he talk like that? 1 minute, you also spoke like that 6 weeks ago. You just got educated. Be patient. Just because, and how many times the men, they go to shul and they hear something, a whole new idea, and then they can't understand their wife. You don't know that this is not, no, a week ago you also didn't know. Isn't part of educating ourselves is to realize that, you know what? I always suggest grow together. Read the same book. If you pick up Shimon Russell's book, learn it b'chavrisa with your husband, with your wife. Chavrisa. I learned it with chavrisa. I'm in this field, who knows how long, and I'm telling you that book educated me more than anything else. And I'm not making commission of that book, I promise you.
The Litvish, chavrusa, you said chavrisa.
Chavrisa. We need to grow together as much as we can, because if you know, again, if your husband doesn't want to come here, do it alone, do the best you can. Your wife doesn't want to come, do the best you can. I know we have that throughout the Shabbosim and the events, I know. But if you can, try to educate yourself together to try to be on the same page. And be patient that in a man's perspective, he's going to see things very different than a woman's perspective. Work it out, discuss it, have conversations about it, and...
Because you say it's not working. I'm saying we're past that stage.
The what? Who's not working?
She's talking about a stage when she's past that stage. I mean, she's tried to get him on the same page and he's not there.
He's not there, that's what I'm saying. So be patient that he's not there yet.
So he's another
So
kid.
she's asking how to deal with the children when how she's stuck in the middle. She's stuck between the children and the father.
So he's another kid.
No, I hear what you're saying. It's a good question. It's true. What you're saying is that watch what you do, Lamasa.
Yeah.
He says, don't buy this for her, and she says, this is important to buy. But, you know, I don't think I could. It could be answered on a general conversation. I think it's very, very specific. This conversation to see. Sometimes we could work out a deal. You know, anything that has to do with buying stuff is up to me. Anything that has to do with rachnis is up to you. Some kind of workouts, some kind of. Even if you don't have the best mahalach, if you're 50% able to do something, do that. It's not all or nothing. Try to do as much as you can. But
maybe the couple could have a rav that
Yeah,
could guide
exactly.
them. The couple could have a rav that could guide
but you need both to agree on the same route.
A mediator.
But the
A mediator.
rav, the husband who wants to do the right thing, if he has a rav that tells him that this is the right thing, it may help.
Right. True. That's also that works for many couples, not for all. It does work for some. You know, not everybody is respectful to the same rav and to the same thing, and I don't think that's the case. But I think that we need to really focus on. A child gets. We talked a lot of technical. Let's wrap up this up for the last few minutes. It's not so much about the rules. What do I do now and how to do that? Live. You heard it as an idea, and you're doing it a little bit. I want, if it's possible, let's do it 100%, 90%. Rachman. Rachman. My child wants to be good. You know what's in our way? We all grew up in Bes Yaakov, on the Moisdes, and the Yeshivas, and the Chadurim, and we were told that everybody has Bechira. Everybody has Bechira, which is true, and it's always going to be true. And if my child is misbehaving, it must be they're choosing that way. So how could I have Rachman? That's our real inner struggle, for the women a little bit more than men, but this is generally what's really in our way. The answer is, they do have Bechira in a very different place. Every person in this world has Bechira in a different place. How many kids do we have? Baruch Hashem, each and every one of them is like the Shiva Salminim. Very different. So one kid is born with much more jealousy, the other kid is level 80, the other kid is born jealousy level 20, this kid with Kas level 90, the other kid. Every person, we are all born with different missions in this world and different avoidance that we need to do. So if I hold myself back from being in Kas for a situation that's number 20 and I'm on number 60, it's very different than my brother. So only Hashem could judge who passed the test more. If a child is being hurt, they were hurt because we know for a fact, like we spoke before, according to their behavior, we know that they were hurt. And they're very traumatized, they have a lot of emotional pain. So their Bechira is in a very different, tiny place. Their Bechira is, should I come at 2 a.m. in the morning? Or 2:02 a.m.? That's their whole Bechira, and they come home 2 instead of 2:02, they're going to get Olam Haba because they came home 2 minutes earlier, not to hurt their parents that much. And then another kid that came home 8:05 is going to get a much bigger issue in Shemayim because it's so easy for him to come home on time. Who are we to know? We don't know. I only know where my Bechira is. Bechira, I know where my Bechira is. And my struggles in my life, you don't know it, but I have certain struggles, and we all have certain struggles. Certain things are so easy for me and so difficult for other people. And so some of the things are so difficult for me, if I would tell it to you, you would laugh at me. So we all have Bechira in different places. I don't know where my child's Bechira is. We think we know our kids. Do your parents really know you? I think you know them much better than they know you. And the same thing, you don't know your kids as much as they know you. We don't. We think we know our kids. We don't know where their real Bechira is. We don't know. Shmir Shabbos, for some of us, you wake me up middle of the night, I should open a light of Shabbos. My hands wouldn't go there. And they have other kids that just born like that. Kids are born kleptomaniacs. You know what that is? They steal. It's a condition. There's no such thing to say. So that's going to help you be more Rachman than in Din, without judging our kids and say, you know what? For my child must be very, very difficult to be tzinius now. Very difficult. And when she went into the store and she bought one size up, one size down, she could have bought 2 sizes down, she took only 1 size down. And for that 1 second decision, she could get Olam Haba like a person that's all tzinius all day. Why do we know? How do we know how difficult that is? She doesn't have an image, she doesn't feel like a somebody anywhere. So she needs to have boys look at her. So that's why she goes dressed like that. Ebach. Just feel bad, say the bunny, just start crying for her, together with her, not... Rabbi Sefer reminded me I should share a story. It's quite a very strong story to end with, but it's a very strong example. I had once a boy that started falling out of yeshiva, went to work. He wasn't Mechal Shabbos, but he was going through interesting stages. And I was very close to him. He used to come to my house. We were in Mekarev, and one day his parents called me up. They want to make a meeting with me. They want to have a meeting with me. They want to discuss. So they came, and the father, the mother, my shul, and the boy, and they brought up a few things. One of the things the father said, he said, it bothers me so much my son doesn't wear tzitzis. What stated to tzitzis? Can you convince him, Rabbi Ehrlich, you're very close to him, and I want you to explain to him that he has to wear tzitzis. So I started saying, my way of saying, I started saying, you don't have to wear tzitzis. Father wanted to kill me. I said, you don't have to wear tzitzis. It doesn't say anywhere in the Torah you have to wear tzitzis. The Torah says that if you have a beged, a clothing that has 4 corners, you have to put on tzitzis, but you don't really have to wear tzitzis. So the boy got it excited. And then I said, but, yet. You know what the but means? But means to negate. I never say but, I say and, yet. So, why do we wear tzitzis? Because the only mitzvah that we could be mekayim every second of every day. And the whole Gemara in the Masechtas Bruchos that the shukal keneged kol haTorah killer, and it reminds us it's a million. And then the chinuch and everybody brings that it's shmira, and it gives a shmira, and this boy turns red and purple and cooked up like this. And I saw something. I said something. I pressed a button. This boy was about to have a nervous breakdown in front of all of us. And I said, do you want to talk to me alone without your parents? He said, yes, I went to his parents to go out of the room. Actually, we went to the other room. And I said, what's the story with the tzitzis? He said, when he was a kid in Chayda, his Rebbe in Chayda took him down in the basement, molested him, touched him inappropriately on a daily, weekly basis. And he said, I was holding on to my tzitzis, and I was crying to Hashem, Hashem, save me. Tzitzis is shmira. You're going to tell me that tzitzis is shmira? It never saved me. I'm never wearing tzitzis. I was just in Manchester a few months ago when we had a Shabbaton over there, and I spoke, and one of the parents told me that every time my husband sits down, sits down Shabbos afternoon to learn, the sun runs out of the house. It could be the winter, it could be the summer, and he doesn't walk into the house, and so they chapped. He can't see his father learning. What's the story? After Shabbos we spoke, and I make a very long story very short. He has such trauma from learning. He said his father is so mean to his mother. I see how he treats my mother. And he's a Ben Torah. And I was told the Torah idol tos a mensch. The Torah makes a person a better man to work on his midas to make it. This is, I never want to see. He has to learn when my mother asked him to do something. He has to learn when he couldn't see the Gemara. I've heard from many boys that I remember when I was in yeshiva and we didn't behave or came late, whatever it was. My Rebbe said, you're going to have to learn by lunch. So the punishment was learning. Or you had to write lines. Remember we had to write lines? I don't know if they still do it today, but nowadays, you remember? I had to write lines, so I had to write the Rambam. To me, Rambam is the punishment. Like, get out of my sight. The Rambam is not... Again, we can't undo the world, but we need to understand that we don't understand. We don't know certain things that reminds a person. Imagine talking to a person come out of the Holocaust. I had Mazaitis and Bubis with the numbers. And imagine this person, the Zaidi, is making a Siddur Sadua every year to make a Siddur to talk about this the day that he got saved from Hitler. And one of the Einiglich walk in with the clothing like the pajamas that the Eden wore in Auschwitz. The grandfather fainted on the floor. He died. He couldn't handle it. We're talking about 50 years later. You could walk around with a Nazi badge in front of someone that came out of the 50 years later. That's how trauma works. It's an enactment. It doesn't even have to be conscious. You know that if a child witnessed something when they were 3 years old, they saw a person with a yellow scarf and pink pants and green shoes beat up someone. 50 years later, you don't remember the story, but you're in the train and someone walks in with a green scarf, pink pants, and green. You're going to get nervous. You're not going to know why. And it's not only certain things that they've seen, certain timings, certain people, Erev Shabbos, they're so nervous. They grew up in homes where Erev Shabbos is such a pressure. He just got married, there's nothing to do. It's fratik, nothing. The day is also an enactment. Certain places, certain sounds. We remember, when you hear a song, you remember where you heard it. These are all, we're so complex. We're such a... If someone is not able to beat Tznius, they heard Tznius 1,000 times to someone that was a hypocrite. Or they were forced to do something. Or their best friend was kicked out of school because she had a star on her shoe. And in front of the whole class they say, I told you many times. And that girl went off the derech. A few other friends couldn't handle the word tznius anymore. I know I have dealt with this. They can't hear the word tznius. Don't read the word tznius to some of them. Nobody to blame. It's not to blame. Sister Chaz V'Shalom, our Moses are beautiful. There's so much good going on. But we need to understand that the kids that couldn't, and they're not there, we don't know what's a trigger to them. Maybe that's a trigger to them. Do I know? It's much more than trigger. Trigger is being thrown around. That's why I don't want to use that word. It's really an enactment. It's so much deeper. It's the Nazi clothing.
We have one daughter who won't come to Havdalah. She'll do other things.
Havdalah, okay.
No.
Tell her to listen to just that 3 minutes that I spoke about Havdalah. Cut it out, show it to her. Okay, yeah, you want to ask a question? We're very quick. We need to go. My car is waiting.
Everything you said is about your own kids. So what about cousins or friends or other?
What do you mean, what's about cousins? That what?
How do you be there for somebody else when it's not your own kid?
Havei mikabel es kol ha'adam b'seva panim yafis. That's the avodah vayid. To be in a cousin, you have to be extra nice, and if you see your uncle is not doing a good job, you do the job as much as you can. You don't have to carry, just be makarov every you can. It's not about kiruv. The word is not kiruv, the word is attachment. It's much deeper than kiruv. It's not like being nice. Avoy sahab, meaning the child should feel that you're connected, ladavkal dveikus. This is way deeper than just being nice and kiruv. We're not talking about that. Okay, Hashem should give all of you koich. We should all go home with a bissel chizik and try to remember to remember that you're shlichim derachmuna. You're shlichim derabani shleim to deal with this kinderlich that are going through, and they're carrying the burden from the generation, the ikar from the dar that has to go through the gulas ha-nefesh. Hashem should give all us koyach, gezind, panusim, et nachas.